All right, happy Sunday. Good to see you guys. We just had a quick team meeting, and as I told the team, and today officially starts game week. As we look at everything, today's a Monday for us in terms of our preparation. And, really the past 2 weeks leading up till now, preparation's been really good. You had some guys that have been able to recover, but also you've been able to do your physical and tactical preparations after we found out who our opponent was last week. So really pleased with the preparation of the last week. And then, obviously now we start moving forward with game week. We have to make some adjustments into our normal game week schedule to accommodate finals. So we'll practice in the morning, starting Monday. We'll practice in the morning through Wednesday. And then Thursday will be a normal Thursday because our guys will take finals in the afternoon. So a couple injury updates. Howard Cross will be available. Devin Ford available. Jeremiah Love available. Bodie Cahoon will still be out. KK Smith will still be out, and Kingston will still be out. And so just moving along to Indiana, obviously it's a 11-1 football team. Very talented, but you can tell they're coached well. They play, as I often say, with the clarity that you look for when you watch film, right? It's a team that plays fast, a team that understands what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're doing it. And so you can tell they understand what's expected of them. They make quick and fast decisions. A very disruptive, chaotic defense that is, I think, number one in the country at stopping the run. And so we understand it'll be a great challenge for us, and we got to have a great week of prep as we get ready for Friday night. With that, I'll open up for questions.
On your right, Tom Noy.
Marcus, the last 10 games, the focus was always there, game in and game out. How do you now turn that back on after what will be 20 days without a game?
Yeah, I've been preaching the same messages that everybody knows it's a big game, but the approach to the game can't change. What we've been doing in terms of our preparation mentally and physically has given this program a chance to succeed. Now, all season long, we've talked about elevating, right? Continuously finding ways to get better in terms of how we prepare. And that's no different as you prepare for this one, is that we have to find ways to enhance the way we prepare and continue to elevate as a team with that same approach that we've had. And we'll get to Friday when it gets here.
It's a big game. It's a different kind of game. But the fact that you've been in win or else mode basically since September 7th, how can that work to this program's advantage?
Yeah, it's something I've been preaching to the guys, and something that I reiterated this last week was that we've been in playoff situational games since week 3, and we understand that. And every game that we play in is a version of a playoff game in our minds. And so continue to understand that don't have any added pressure for this one that you haven't had the previous 10, right? And so our guys understand that. That's going to be the message that I continue to reiterate, and let's just focus on the way we're preparing more than anything.
Front row on your left, Jack Sobel.
Coach, you're the only playoff team who hasn't had anyone enter the portal since the regular season ended. What's been your message to the players about that, and why is it important for you to keep the entire team together entering the playoffs?
I can't speak for everybody. I think every individual in our program makes their own decisions. I think they understand how valuable, every person in our program understands how valuable they are to us being in this position that we're in. And we need them. We need every single person in our program to reach the goals that we have. And so I think when you feel like you have value and you're a part of what we're accomplishing, you want to continue to stay with this team and see it through. And I hope that's a reflection of it. But again, everybody will have their own answer.
You've mentioned in the past that how Howard Cross and Riley Mills are the keys to everything you do up front defensively. How important is it to not only get Howard back, but also get these 2 weeks off for him to heal up that ankle?
Yeah, obviously high ankle sprains take time, and we knew that. But Howard Cross is an excellent football player, and when you don't have him, he's missed. You know, we've had guys step up and do an unbelievable job. Donnie Heinrich has played really well, and Gabe Rubio and some of those guys. But we also know the type of football player Howard Cross is, and to have him back is going to be huge for our defense.
Third row on your right, Tim Priester.
Coach, as it relates to Indiana's defense, I mean, the stats indicate, you always use the expression, play football, not football. Obviously, they're not playing football either. How do you, on the other side of it, how do you combat that?
Yeah, they do some unique things with their D-line, with their second-level defense in terms of pressure package, but also some different stunts that you don't see every week. What we can't do is try to play football. You hear me say it all the time, and make sure, you know, hey, we're scheming everything up the exact right way. Part of this is you got to be aggressive. You got to establish a new line of scrimmage when you're running the football, and that's a mindset and a mentality that we have to have. But they've done an excellent job of stopping the run all season long.
This isn't an Indiana-related question, but I think it was either after the Northern Illinois game or the Monday after Pete Sampson asked you whether you thought that your program had evolved beyond a performance like that. And at the time you said yes. I just wonder what your thought process has been over the last 10 games as far as, you know, because you preach preparation so strongly with your team. I mean, do you live in perpetual prevention of upset alert at this point moving forward?
I mean, I would be lying if I say I don't think about, you know, that loss or being upset. Fear is a motivator. And it is what it is. A lot of people are motivated by fear or greed. And there's times that I have to remind myself what's the result of not preparing the right way. But sometimes it takes the performance that we had versus NIU to go back and say, okay, hold on. What lessons do we have to learn? You can't, if you knew exactly what it took, the perfect formula, you would correct it right when it's not right. But sometimes it takes going back and saying, okay, where didn't we prepare the right way? And that's after a win too. There's situations that happen in a win that you got to go back and say, okay, we didn't perform the way we needed to in this situation. Third down offense, third down defense, first down offense, whatever the situation may be, special teams. Hold on, is our preparation, is this something that's showing up in practice? If it's not, okay, was this a schematic thing that we weren't ready for? And I think that's the mindset I have. I still believe in preparation. I choose to believe that is the number one indicator that gives your program a chance to have success on Saturday. And I won't stray from that. And that's what we're going to focus on right now as we prepare for this upcoming game.
Front row on your left, Tyler Horka.
Riley Leonard said in a podcast recently that he feels like he hasn't had his breakthrough moment as a college quarterback. Started a lot of games. He's never started one like this. Why is he ready for a moment like this?
I think Riley's a reflection of our entire program. We all believe there's room to get better. There is. You talk about reaching your full potential. Every person in that program, including me, has room to elevate, to get better. And that's what I hope that statement means for Riley Leonard. Yeah, he's played really well in a lot of games and a lot of big games, but he knows he has room to improve, as do I. And so what we have to do is now put the work in that it takes to take that next step in elevation, you know, and that's what he's focused on. That's what we're all focused on.
You've had some time now to kind of look back at the USC game, particularly the uncharacteristic giving up all of those passing yards. I'm curious, kind of on the other side of the ball, why are these young corners ready to shed that and stop a pretty good Indiana passing offense? Yeah,
I mean, again, Christian, you know, there was a couple plays they made on him that they have really good players. They had a really good quarterback. They made some plays. But again, when Christian picks off that last ball and takes it to the house, is a reflection of one play, one life. This is the only thing that matters. And we have the utmost confidence in all of our DBs, Christian Gray included. You know, you got to learn from some of the things that happened, but also understand, build off the confidence that he has after that last interception he took to the house. And so they'll be ready to go. They'll be ready. All of our DBs will be ready for the challenge that presents itself on Friday.
Front row on your right, John Bryce.
Hey, Marcus, you've said a couple of different times, including just a couple of weeks ago, that this is the most talented team you've had since you've been here. When did it make the jump in your mind from being the most talented team to a playoff team?
I mean, there's not one instance that I believe that I said, man, there's a playoff team until we beat USC. But talent is one thing. You know, I still believe this is the most talented team I've had a chance to be the head coach of. But there's the work that it takes to take talent and turn into skill and to turn into being a great football team. And there isn't a defining moment for that. It's a constant process from when we started in January to fall camp to where we're at now. And we're still on a process to continuing to reach our full potential, as I always say, and improve. And then we'll look back when it's over. Whenever this thing is over, we'll look back and say, here's the key points in this season that really helped us get to this point.
Scoreboard adversity obviously hit week 2 against Northern Illinois, but then on the field the next week at Purdue, you blow them out, but you lose 2 offensive linemen. I think Botello that game. 2 weeks later, it was Boubacar and BMO around that same time as well. As this team continued to face adversity, what did you learn about its resiliency along the way, and what do you attribute that to?
I think we have depth more than anything. Is we have guys from the top of our roster to the bottom that can help us win football games. And when that opportunity presents itself on game days, it changes throughout the year. But you have to be ready, and you can't wait till your number's called on game day to get ready. And I think that's what it speaks to, is the guys that have prepared in a way to be ready, and they didn't know if their number's going to be called on Saturday or not. But because of an injury, now they're thrust into action, and everybody else gets to see it. But more important than anything, it speaks to the talent, the depth of our roster, but also the way those guys prepare for an opportunity that they don't know is going to happen on game day.
Up the middle to your left, Kurt Rallo.
Coach, can you talk about the trend of one-year quarterbacks, and do you modify or condense a playbook, or does it just take a long time naturally to kind of master that?
Every program's different. Every offense is different. There is a process that it takes to make sure that your quarterback and your offensive is performing at the highest level it can. But there's also ways to expedite that process, as I think Riley and Coach Denbrock and Coach Kaduli have truly been intentional about doing. As far as us moving forward, it's not something we plan on worrying about in the future.
And then can you talk about the playoffs being a new experience for you as a head coach, and how do you handle the almost like planning or scouting multiple teams like NCAA basketball?
We have a group that looks at all the possible opponents we may have. As obviously we didn't know who we were going to play round one, but once you have a opponent, your intention is specifically on the upcoming task at hand. We obviously you have to plan forward as in terms of logistically, but all of our focus is for the task at hand.
Front row on your right, Eric Hansen.
Hey, Coach. Xavier Watts has been popping up on a lot of All-America teams, and I'm wondering, when he made the decision last year to come back and said the why, did the why surprise you at all? And how did that decision, as it's played out, affect his teammates?
When he made the decision to come back, I think there was multiple reasons. One was to improve his draft stock, right, and to give him a chance to be drafted at a higher position in NFL draft, but also to help this team reach some goals that we've set. And, being a captain, being the leader that he's been for our defense, there is no value, no money that I can put on that. Like, he has been amazing in terms of the value he's brought into this program and to this team, and often tell him, I just told him that, like, what you've done for this program to achieve team glory is going to be bigger than you could ever imagine in terms of the individual glory, that the All-Americans, the awards that you may or may not get. I just want him to know, and he knows, the value he's brought to this team for us to achieve the results that we've had has been tremendous.
And then sometimes during bye weeks or a bowl/playoff rep, players have a chance to recalibrate. I wonder if Bo Collins has been able to take advantage of that, if you see kind of a resurgence with him at all.
Yeah, Bo's had a wonderful few weeks of practice, confidence, practicing fast, high level, making some big plays in practice, and that's all you can control, right? You learn from the things that are behind you and the mistakes that you've made, but what I've seen in Bo Collins in these past 2 weeks of practice gives me a lot of confidence in what he can do on game day.
Staying on the right side in the back row, Allison Hayes.
Hi, Coach. Just the challenge that IU quarterback Curtis Rourke and the Hoosiers offensive line pose for your defense.
Yeah, every great offense is led by a quarterback, and this is no different. He's a veteran. He's been in big games. He's played in a lot of football games, and he makes really good decisions. Like, he knows where he's going with the ball. He knows what he's looking for, and he is able to execute at a high level. But more than that, I think their offense, being able to run the ball, is something that they've done really efficiently. And when you think about weather conditions, you think about a Friday night in South Bend, Indiana, weather could have an impact on the football game. And they've done a really good job running the ball. And so we have to prepare, obviously, for the things he does well in the passing game, but we got to make sure we can stop the run, too.
And then there were times this season that the guys told us you had video of the NIU game. You wanted them to see that. You had video of the USC loss from a couple of years ago. You wanted them to remember that. Are you doing anything specific that just to help motivate them for this game?
Yeah, there's always motivational tactics that, I provide that maybe it's more for me than anything. But yeah, we'll find ways to motivate them. They're motivated by this opportunity more than anything. They're motivated to play in the first ever playoff game in Notre Dame Stadium versus a dang good football team in Bloomington, Indiana. That's where their motivation lies. More than anything, again, the ability to pull plays from IU, to show them plays from previous losses, is to learn from them. It's more than motivating, it's to learn from them. There's plays in Louisville last year that I had on the screen that hopefully they watched and they said, oh, okay, that's something I got to remember that will help us on game day. And that's really the tactic behind playing some of those things that the previous losses and showing around the group.
Front row on your left, Kyle Kelly.
Hey, Coach, it's been since the FSU game that Mitch Jeter, that was the last time he made a field goal. So where are you at with him, and is he back to the point where he's kicking field goals in-game as the routine to where he was pre-injury?
Yeah, this is as close as he's been to where he was before he got hurt. He's had a really good 2-3 weeks of practice. Now we had to let him truly recover. He needed it. He needed a chance to recover, and we've probably had more live field goal opportunities and field goal periods in practice just for him, but everybody to get their confidence back in our field goal unit, some of the protection things that we have to fix. And so he's had a really good few weeks of practice.
Indiana will come here with the #1 run defense in the country. What impresses you about that part of their defense?
Again, I think they play aggressively. I often say they create chaos. They have a really unique scheme in terms of some of their twist games and pressure packages, but they're talented and they play hard. Their D-line is really, really good, and it's hard to simulate some of the things they do in practice. But our scout guys have done a good job at trying to give us a really good look, as they've done all year. But they are well coached, they're aggressive, and they're a confident group.
Front row on your right, Pete Sampson.
As you put together sort of the practice plan and prep plan for this, was there just like who you relied on for that? It's something nobody has done. Yeah. It's like it's a bye week, but not really. It's like a bowl game, but it's much earlier. So how do you sort of figure out, like, this is how hard we need to practice, when we need to practice, how we're going to recover, how we're going to lift?
Yeah, I think there's part of the logistics that we had deep and long discussions about before the season even started, right? With understanding that you have finals, understanding that you're going to have week 13 off, you're not going to have an opponent till after the championship game. So some of those logistical things we've had a plan for. And then as we got closer and closer to this, and once we really got an opponent, every week we get together as a sports performance group. We meet early in the week, and I have a vision that I want in terms of the practice schedules and the periods, and I bounce it off of, John Waggle and Lauren Lando and Rob Hunt and that group that we kind of meet about looking at the loads and the numbers and, hey, coach, this would be high, this would be low, and it's a collective decision. Like, I have to use the wisdom that is around me. We have some of the most brightest individuals here at this university that can give me feedback. And then I got to make a decision. I have to make a decision that I believe is best for this football team. But before I do that, I want to use all the wisdom available.
Kind of a micro about the offensive line. Like, you never got to start the offensive line you thought you were going to start on August 1st, based on injury. But when did this line start to look like kind of the one that you wanted, even if the players were different from, where you thought it would be on the first day of camp?
Again, it's a similar answer to John's. Like, it's a progression, and it takes time. There's not one game or one instance that I said, that's the offensive line that we've been waiting on. Like, they played well week 1. There was improvement. Week 2, there's improvement. There's still improvement that we have to make. But I think it's that chase of perfection. It's that chase of reaching our full potential that prevents you from saying, this is when it happened. Right? It's that mindset. Like, we're not there yet. We're not there as a football program. We're not there as an O-line group. We're not there as a head coach. Like, there's room for improvement. And after this season, we'll look back and say, hey, maybe there was a time or two, but right now it's just like, how do we get better? How do we get better?
Up the middle on your left, Mike Berardino.
Marcus, where the margin for error now becomes so slim game to game, I wonder, we haven't had a chance to hear your thoughts on the Riley Mills and I guess it was Mike Brown on the sideline with some lapses in poise against USC, and what was their reaction to it? Uncharacteristic, I'm sure, for both guys, but do you use that as a reminder now to the group as a whole that never more important than to keep your poise?
Yeah, that's they'll be the first ones to tell you that. Nobody's worth 15 yards, and we got to we can't react to a situation in a way that can hurt our team. And that's what both of them were. They were reactions that were poor decisions, right? Poor decisions in terms of the way they reacted to a situation. And those are the first two guys that will own it. That's what I love about this program is I don't need to demean you and get all over you. At times I will, but these guys own it. They understand it, and we all got to learn from it. It's a reminder for me as the head coach. Nobody's worth 15 yards. Let's make good decisions no matter what happened to the previous player in the previous moment. We got to be smart in terms of how we react.
And then there's a new coach in the ACC, your scheduling partner, Bill Belichick, has arrived, and everybody's kind of weighed in on that, welcomed him. I wondered, did you run into him at the Navy game? I think he was there this year. Or have you spoken to him at all in the pro days or anything? And the idea that he's arriving and telegraphing, well, we're gonna get these guys. We're gonna run a program preparing them for the NFL. It'll be the kind of thing where NFL dads would want to send their kids. Strikes me that you already have that kind of thing going here. I don't know, just what's your reaction to Belichick coming, and what's your response to your message to everyone that wants to be prepared for the NFL through the college game? What you guys do?
I got a lot of respect for what Coach Belichick has done for the game of football. The success he's had at the NFL level is unprecedented. I mean, it's tremendous for the game of football, period. And to have somebody that has had that much success in college football and in a conference that we obviously play multiple crossover games, it's amazing. And he'll do great things in college the same way he did in the NFL. And so, I look forward to seeing the success of North Carolina and their football program. And as far as, every coach gonna tell. Our job is to make sure that your sons are prepared, more prepared for the NFL because of the time they spent in our program. Like that's a part of what our job is not only to help us win football games, but also to prepare them to reach their full potential as a football player. And if that means that they're ready to go to the NFL and have a long NFL career, then that's great. But our job is to make sure that they are as the most complete football player as they can be in terms of because of the time they spent with us in our football program.
Last question opportunity for Coach, left side back row, Austin Huff.
Marcus, a lot of talk about the cold weather and potential snow on Friday night. You guys played one of these games 2 years ago against Boston College. Like, do you pull anything from that preparation at all, to use maybe to help you guys this week with that?
No, we practice in it just so our guys understand, coaches understand what they need to wear to stay warm. Like you'll hear me say all the time, there's no cold, tough guys. All right? If you don't want to wear sleeves, don't wear sleeves, but don't be on the sideline shivering either. Make sure you're warm, and whatever it takes to be warm, let's make sure we're prepared. So in order to do that, coaches too, we got to practice outside. You got to practice in the elements so you know how to prepare for it on game day.
So you don't recommend wearing no shirt during warm-ups like Florida State 6 years ago?
If they're not cold, you wear what you want to wear. Just make sure you're warm.
Coach, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, guys.